My Delusional got charity headphones at her hospital. I broke them and threw them away for humiliating me in front of my ex. She refused to replace them and demanded she come back to my house and get punished like a good girl. It's been 7 years. She never came back and I'm regretting my actions. This happened 3 years ago. But my daughter still brings it up and holds it against me. So, I want to know if I'm really in the wrong here. For context, I, 42F, was going through a very stressful time in my life. My now ex-husband and I were in the middle of a nasty divorce. We weren't talking unless it was absolutely necessary. And even then, it usually turned into an argument. Our daughter, Maya, 15, at the time, was stuck in the middle of it. And I'll admit, I was not handling things well emotionally. I was burnt out and emotionally exhausted, working longer hours than I should have been just to stay afloat. Then Maya got sick. It wasn't some cold. She ended up in the hospital for almost 3 weeks. It turned everything upside down. She was pale, weak, and just shut down. I stayed with her for most of it, slept in that awful hospital chair, brought her stuff from home, and tried to keep her spirits up. It was a scary time. I genuinely did my best. I was there. I bought her favorite snacks and read to her. Even though she barely talked to me, she'd just stare at the wall a lot. I think being in the hospital like that, combined with the divorce, really messed with her head. During her stay, one of the hospital's charity groups came around and gave gifts to the longer-term patients. Maya got these wireless headphones. They were nice, not AirPods or anything top of the line, but good quality, probably worth around $100. She immediately latched onto them. She wore them all day. Even when she wasn't listening to anything, she had them around her neck. I understood it at first. She'd been through a lot and the headphones were a rare bright spot in a rough time. But after she came home, the attitude started. She was withdrawn, snapped at me over little things, rolled her eyes constantly, and spent every moment in her room with those headphones on. She started using them as a shield. Anytime I tried to talk to her, she'd slap them on and ignore me. I'll be honest, we already had a rocky relationship, even before the hospital. Maya had always been strong-willed. Our arguments used to escalate quickly. I admit I yelled more than I should have. I come from a strict background where parents are parents and kids don't get to tune you out. So, this whole ignore me with music thing that didn't fly. We got into a lot of little fights after she came home. Things like her skipping chores, talking back, and being passive-aggressive. And each time I tried to correct her, she'd just put the headphones on and walk away like I didn't exist. That made my blood boil. I kept asking her to stop using them like that, to talk to me like a human being. She would mumble whatever and disappear into her room. I felt disrespected in my own house and yeah, I was already running on fumes with the divorce stress. One day about 3 weeks after she came back from the hospital, we got into another argument. I can't even remember what started it. I think I told her to help with dishes and she said something sarcastic. I raised my voice. She rolled her eyes, turned away, and put the headphones on. While I was mid-sentence, I lost it. I saw red. I walked up, pulled the headphones off her head, and threw them hard against the wall. They snapped in half. I didn't expect them to actually break like that, but once they did, I didn't say anything. I just stood there breathing hard. She froze, looked at me, and then just broke. She started sobbing, picked up the pieces, and walked straight out the front door. About an hour later, I got a call from my sister. Maya had walked the 4 miles to her house, crying the entire way. My sister lit into me immediately demanding to know what I did. I tried to explain, but she kept cutting me off, saying things like, "She's traumatized, and how could you smash the only thing that made her feel safe?" That night, my ex came to pick her up. He barely looked at me. Maya wouldn't even come inside to talk. She sat in his car with red, puffy eyes, hugging what was left of the headphones in a plastic bag. Later that week, Maya actually texted me. She apologized for being rude during the argument. Then she asked if I could please replace the headphones. She said they meant a lot to her and that they helped her not feel so alone when everything got overwhelming. I said no. I told her she shouldn't have used them to ignore me. Actions have consequences. I didn't feel like I should reward that behavior. She didn't reply. I thought she'd eventually get over it, but she didn't. She went back to my sister's house and stayed there for almost a week. My sister kept me updated and said Maya refused to talk to anyone for the first few days. She wouldn't even come out of the guest room, just stayed under the covers, silent. She only started talking again when my sister brought her a new pair of cheap headphones and let her stay longer. The silence from Maya never really ended after that. After the divorce was finalized, she chose to live with her dad full-time. Legally, we had joint custody, but she made it crystal clear where she felt safe. She stopped answering my texts, wouldn't come over on her weekends. When she had to come by for holidays, she'd only stay with my sister, not in my home. I tried reaching out a few times. Short messages, nothing emotional. Just things like, "Hey, it's your weekend," or "Let me know if you want to talk." Most of the time, I got silenced. Once in a while, a single word response. Eventually, I stopped texting as much. I figured she'd come around when she was ready. That never happened. 2 years passed. She turned 17 last month. Still wants nothing to do with me. Every time I've seen her since, it's been through my sister. Holidays, birthdays, school events. She never sets foot in my house. She'll talk to her cousins, her aunts, even my parents, but not me. If I speak to her directly, she stiffens up or leaves the room. She avoids eye contact. It's like I don't exist. My sister says she shuts down whenever the topic of me comes up, that she gets quiet and anxious and then leaves early. At one point, my sister suggested therapy for both of us. I said, no, I don't believe in dragging personal issues to strangers. I'm her mother. We should talk it out, not sit in a room with someone taking notes. Maya didn't want therapy either. At least not with me. She started seeing someone privately through her dad. I don't know what they talk about. I was never asked to be involved. Last year, I tried again. I offered to meet her halfway. Told her I'd buy her new headphones, even better ones, if she'd agreed to come to dinner and talk. She left me on read, didn't respond at all. I know she saw the message. That's when I realized she had blocked me on everything except SMS. I've never laid a hand on her, never screamed in her face, never kicked her out or called her names. I didn't abuse her. I lost my temper once and broke a pair of headphones because I was being ignored in my own home. That's it. But if you ask her, you'd think I did something unforgivable. She calls it traumatic. Says she can't feel safe around me. All over a pair of headphones. Not even something I took away. Something I broke in a moment of frustration. I didn't throw them at her. I threw them at the wall. She wasn't hurt. She was angry and dramatic and used it as her excuse to cut me out. And now, 2 years later, she still uses it as her justification. My own daughter refuses to speak to me because of a broken item she got for free. I've tried to explain this to people in my life, my parents, co-workers, and a few friends, and I get mixed reactions. Some say she's just being a teenager and will get over it. Others say I need to apologize and replace them even now, to rebuild trust. But that's not the point. If I do that now, I'm just reinforcing the idea that she gets to make the rules, that if she withholds contact long enough, she gets what she wants. I reached out again last week. I told her she needs to start coming home on weekends. I wasn't asking. I told her this has gone on long enough. She's still a minor. I said we need to reestablish a routine, that it's not healthy for her to continue avoiding her own mother like this. She blocked my number completely after that. My sister called me the next day and said I was pushing her too hard. That Maya's therapist says contact with me triggers a stress response. That I should give her space. How much more space am I supposed to give? It's been 2 years. This entire situation feels absurd. I broke one item during a heated moment after months of disrespect, backtalk, and tension. It wasn't premeditated. It wasn't abusive. It wasn't malicious. It was frustration boiling over, and I didn't replace them because I don't believe in rewarding disrespect. She was tuning me out during an argument, ignoring me with something she got during a time she associates with emotional comfort. I get it, but I also know when I'm being manipulated. It's not like she's had no support. She has a solid home with her dad. She has my sister fawning over her. She has a therapist. She's not alone. She just doesn't want to deal with the fact that sometimes parents get fed up too. I wasn't perfect, but I don't believe I deserve this kind of punishment. Everyone seems so focused on how she felt that day. No one talks about how I felt being ignored, dismissed, and isolated. While my daughter decided she was too hurt to speak to me for 2 years, I've been left out of major school events. I wasn't invited to her birthday dinner last month. I found out about her college applications from my sister, not her. And still, after all this time, every conversation circles back to the same moment: the headphones. So now I'm here. She's 17, barely acknowledges me and tells anyone who asks that she doesn't have a mom. All because I broke a pair of headphones and refused to buy her new ones after she ignored me during a fight. I still don't regret not replacing them. I still believe I was right. It was just a pair of headphones. Ada comments. Comment 1. Uda, you're acting like she's breaking some life-threatening rule when really she was a sick kid trying to cope. Headphones were her crutch after being hospitalized. Smashing them in a fit of rage that wasn't discipline. It was emotional violence. You keep saying she tuned me out with them. But guess what? A teenager using headphones doesn't justify your reaction. If anything, your reaction proves why she needed them. Because you made home feel hostile. And refusing to replace them, refusing to even try to patch things up, that shows you never cared about repairing the damage. You prioritized your ego over your kid's feelings. As a parent, you've done F up. Comment 2. I get annoyance. I get being pissed off when you think your kid is disrespecting you. But your behavior shows 2 massive flaws. Lack of empathy and zero interest in being a parent anymore. She was 15, just out of a serious illness, trying to find something normal, something safe, And you took it away by smashing an object she got for free when she was vulnerable. And then you blamed her. You said you weren't abusive, that you didn't hit her. Congrats on the bare minimum. But emotional scars don't heal because you didn't throw a punch. Now you're mad she still won't talk to you. You want her to come back because you want the relationship, but did you ever stop and think what this looks like from her side? A parent who said actions have consequences yet never tried to make amends or even understand what she was going through. So yeah, your daughter shutting down that drove herself. Comment 3. Uda. You say this wasn't abusive and sure, maybe not in the textbook way, but it was emotionally cruel. You took a 15-year-old who was already struggling and doubled down on her vulnerability. I don't think you're a monster. I think you're the kind of parent who sees disrespect in anything less than total obedience. You say she tuned you out. Yeah. No SHT. She was a traumatized teenager trying to cope and you made it a power struggle. That said, 2 years is a long time. I do think your daughter is holding on to this too tightly. But that's what happens when the hurt isn't acknowledged. You never really apologized, never rebuilt trust, never made a single step forward. That silence became a wall. You want her to come home. Try something radical. Listen first, without fixing, without scolding, without needing to be right. Update. It's been almost a year since I posted here. I didn't plan to update, but things have escalated more than I ever thought they would. Not just with Maya, but with the rest of my family. Shortly after I posted, my sister found the thread. She called me that night and said she recognized my tone instantly. I thought she was calling to back me up. Instead, she went off. Said reading it made her realize I genuinely had no clue how badly I'd hurt Maya, not just the headphones, everything. She said Mia had been in therapy almost weekly since that day, working through panic attacks and trauma symptoms she never told me about. Apparently, Maya couldn't sleep with the lights off for months after the fight. She told her therapist the moment I smashed the headphones was when she realized she was alone. That no one, not even her mom, could be trusted to care how she felt. My sister said she and my ex kept a lot of this from me on purpose, thinking Maya needed space without pressure. I thought they were just being overprotective. Hearing it laid out like that didn't make me feel guilty. It made me angry, like they'd been managing me like some threat, like I couldn't be trusted with my own kid. So, I did what I thought was reasonable. I bought a new pair of headphones, same model, same color, and sent them to Maya's school through my sister. I included a note that said, "Just returning what should have never mattered this much." My sister texted me a few hours later. She doesn't want your things. She wanted her mother to care. 2 weeks later, we had a family dinner for one of the cousins. Maya showed up. I hadn't seen her in months, not even in passing. She sat at the far end of the table, didn't speak to me, and didn't look in my direction. After dessert, I tried to approach her with a small gift, not headphones, just a book I remembered she loved as a kid. As soon as I got near her, she stood up, left the table, and walked out without saying goodbye. No one said anything while she was walking away. But after she left, the mood shifted. My aunt leant over and said, "Maybe you should have just let her be." Later that night, my phone started blowing up with messages from my niece. She showed me screenshots messages Maya had sent to a private group chat with her and a few cousins. One of them said, "I don't even have a mom, just a woman who made me feel worthless over a pair of effing headphones." Another said, "She doesn't get it. She never did. I hope I never have to see her again after graduation." That one hit harder than I expected. Not because of the words, but because the rest of the chat was full of agreement. One cousin replied, "She's always been like that." Another said, "No offense, but your mom gives off narcissist vibes." I didn't even know half these kids had opinions about me. I've hosted birthdays, bought Christmas gifts, and gone to recital, and now I'm the narcissist in a group chat full of teenagers. A few days later, I got another message from my ex. This time, it was through Maya's therapist. They offered to facilitate a structured reconciliation plan with ground rules, sessions, and boundaries. I declined. I'm not letting a stranger mediate a relationship with my own child, especially when I'm still being blamed for reacting to months of disrespect and shutdown. Then came graduation planning. My school was sending out RSVP forms. I reached out to my ex to coordinate. He told me flat out that Maya didn't want me there, that she'd had a panic attack when they talked about the idea. He said it brought back too much anxiety. She said the only way she'd attend was if I wasn't present. Legally, I could have gone, but socially, I would have been the monster who showed up knowing I wasn't wanted. So, I didn't. I watched the live stream from my living room. Her dad was there. My sister was there. My parents were there. I saw all of them in the background of the photos. No one mentioned me. No one saved me a seat. It was like I didn't exist. The final blow came last month. My parents asked me to come over for lunch. I thought maybe they were finally ready to talk about how unfair it's been, how I've been cut off, blamed, and sidelined. Instead, they told me they decided not to invite me to Christmas this year. Mir agreed to come home for the first time in 2 years, but only if I wasn't there. My dad said, "We don't want to lose her too. You've made it clear you're not budging, and she's not ready." I asked, "So, I don't get a say in my own family anymore?" My mom just said, "You chose this when you kept doubling down." I left before dessert. Haven't spoken to them since last week. A letter came from my ex's lawyer. Mir is filing for legal emancipation. She turns 18 in a few months, so it's mostly symbolic, but that's the point. She wants it in writing. No legal connection, no parental authority, no rights to anything. She's cutting me out of her life with the last tool she has before adulthood. And the truth is, I still don't feel like I did anything worth this level of destruction. I lost my temper and broke an object. I didn't hit her. I didn't throw her out. I didn't tell her she was worthless. I just held a line I thought I was supposed to hold. I thought being firm made you a good mother. I've started therapy. My first session was mostly the therapist listening, not saying much. I told her the story exactly how I told Reddit. She looked at me for a long time before saying, "Do you want to be right or do you want a relationship?" I still don't know how to answer that. All I know is I'm not invited to my daughter's life, and everyone else seems to understand why except me. Comments. Comment 1. You remind me of my dad. He always thought parenting was about control, not connection. He never hit me either, just made me feel like anything I loved could be destroyed if it made him feel disrespected. Maya isn't reacting to one broken pair of headphones. She's reacting to years of being emotionally dismissed, then watching the one thing she attached herself to get ripped away and stomped on like it was meaningless. And your response still is that everyone else is too sensitive. You lost your daughter the second you decided being right mattered more than being compassionate. The irony is that now you're in therapy and you're still asking why me instead of asking yourself what she needed. This whole update screams, I'm the victim because no one agrees with me. Uta. And you're not alone because Maya hates you. You're alone because you refused to listen until the last door closed. Comment 2. What gets me is how the entire family chose Mia over you. Your parents, your sister, your ex, even your niece. That's not a conspiracy. That's a pattern. People don't just cut out a parent or sibling over one misunderstanding. They cut out people who make others feel unsafe, invalidated, or chronically unheard. Look, I don't think you're a monster, but you've clearly alienated everyone because you show zero ability to reflect without defensiveness. That's why Maya won't speak to you. It's why your sister told you not to come over. It's why your parents disinvited you for the holidays. And yeah, you didn't beat your kid. Great. You just broke something she loved in front of her face and blamed her for your own outburst, then refused every attempt at healing unless it was on your terms. That's the most quietly cruel kind of parenting there is. Honestly, I hope therapy helps you, but unless you drop the martyr act, nothing's going to change. Update. It's been almost another full year, and this is going to be my last update because frankly, I'm done chasing after someone who's made it her mission to punish me. Thanksgiving was the breaking point. My parents told me back in August that Maya might come home for the holidays, but only if it was a safe environment. Translation, only if I wasn't there. I said, fine. I'd stay away for 1 year just to make things easier. I told them I expected next year to be back to normal. Well, October rolled around and I asked about plans. They said Maya still didn't want to see me and that they were planning to host Thanksgiving with only immediate family. I told them I am immediate family. I told them I was coming. I showed up. I brought a bottle of wine and a pie and pretended I wasn't being iced out. My sister answered the door and didn't even try to hide the shock on her face. Maya was already there. The second she saw me, she froze. Then she walked to the back bedroom and slammed the door. I stayed for maybe 30 minutes. No one talked to me unless they had to. My own mother barely made eye contact. Finally, my dad asked if we could take a walk outside. We didn't walk. He told me plain and simple that I was causing more damage by forcing myself into spaces where Maya didn't want me. He said if I couldn't respect boundaries, I'd be asked not to come at all in the future. So, I left. No plate, no leftovers, no goodbye. A few weeks after that, I found out Maya was having a late graduation/going away party before she left for college. She never had a party when she actually graduated earlier this year. And apparently everyone blamed me for that too. I wasn't invited this time either, obviously, but I still RSVP'd through her dad, thinking maybe she'd calm down once she saw I was making an effort. He told me flat out, don't come. I said I had every right to celebrate my own daughter's milestone. He said, then be prepared to be asked to leave. I went anyway. She held it at a rented hall. I walked in and barely made it 10 feet before I saw Maya freeze. I tried to smile and made my way towards her. She turned her back and walked straight out the exit. Her dad followed her. A minute later, her best friend came up to me and said, she wants you to go. Please don't make this about you. I looked around. Everyone was watching. My own niece wouldn't meet my eyes. I left. I told myself I was done reaching out after that, but I didn't mean it. A week later, I messaged her college roommate on Instagram. I just said, "Be careful. She likes to spin stories." You'll see what I mean. She must have told Maya immediately because I got a text from her dad that said, "Do not contact her friends." That's harassment. That same night, my niece unfollowed me, then blocked me. I asked my sister what was going on. She said Maya told the whole family what I did. Not just the roommate message, but everything going back to the original post. According to her, Maya read it all out loud during a family gathering. Word for word, including the part where I said the headphones shouldn't have mattered that much. I became the family cautionary tale overnight. My aunt told me I should apologize publicly. I said no because I'm not going to perform guilt I don't feel. I told my sister this whole thing has gotten out of hand, that Maya has turned one stupid teenage tantrum into her whole identity. She told me, "You still don't get it. It was never just about the headphones. It was that you never once showed her she mattered more than being right." At this point, I'm hearing more about Maya through social media than actual contact. Someone tagged her in a video of her college dorm move-in. Her dad was there, my sister, her cousins. Everyone looked happy. My name was never mentioned. Not once. I tried therapy for a bit, just a few sessions. The therapist kept asking how I could repair trust, and I said over and over that I didn't believe trust was broken, just manipulated. She kept saying Maya had a right to her pain. I asked, what about my right to boundaries? My right to discipline without being cast as abusive? No real answers. I stopped going. And now I don't care anymore. I don't care that she's blocked me. I don't care that she's rewriting our history to make herself the victim. I don't care that my own family has turned me into a ghost because I know what really happened. I know I was there for 15 years, putting food on the table, taking her to doctor appointments, staying up during fevers, paying for school supplies, doing the job. And the second I wasn't perfect, the second I did one thing she didn't like, she torched everything. Headphones breaking isn't the traumatic event she made it out to be. It was a tantrum. She weaponized the moment, turned the family against me, and now parades around as some tragic hero. She thinks she won because she got everyone on her side. But I see it for what it is. She needed a villain, and I refuse to play along. So this is it. I'm done. I'm not writing again. I'm not chasing her. I'm not apologizing for something that never required an apology. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life walking on eggshells because a teenager with abandonment issues couldn't handle being told no. She can have her safe spaces, her curated family events, and her edited narrative. I'm finished. She made her choice. Now I'm making mine. Comments. Comment 1. You lost her the second you made her healing about your pride. And every move since has just proven to her and everyone else that she was right to walk away. Messaging her roommate. Are you serious? That's you being so threatened by a narrative you don't control that you went after a stranger just to smear your daughter's name. You could have burned the whole bridge quietly, but no, you had to drop a match in the group chat and scream. I'm still the adult. No one in your family believes your version because you've shown them again and again that being right matters more than being kind. You've weaponized every contact point from Thanksgiving to a effing party. And every time you were told, please don't, you said, I don't care. Well, now you've got what you wanted. You're not part of the drama anymore. You're just not part of anything. Comment 2. I don't know what's sadder, the fact that you still think you were disciplining her, or the way you treat estrangement like it's some game you lost because of bad PR. What strikes me most is how calculated you are. You show up to a party you weren't invited to. You message her college roommate behind her back. You weaponize money the second you feel rejected. This isn't just firm parenting. This is performative punishment. And here's the thing. You'll keep saying, I did nothing wrong for the rest of your life. That's fine. Just don't act confused when no one invites you in. Your daughter didn't cut ties because of a tantrum. She cut ties because you showed her again and again that her emotional safety came second to your need to win. Comment 3. You sound like the kind of parent who's more obsessed with what you gave than how you made her feel. I paid for school supplies. Okay, so what? Did she feel safe in your house? Did she feel loved? Or did she feel like the second she slipped up, she'd be punished in a way that wasn't physical, but still devastating? What you broke wasn't just a pair of headphones, it was trust. She gave you an emotional out, asked for a replacement, tried to reconnect, and you said no. Then blamed her for being too attached. Then years later, you're still whining that no one threw you a parade for showing up to events uninvited. Every relationship has a breaking point. You crossed hers, then mocked her for flinching. She didn't choose drama. She chose peace. And peace for her meant getting away from you. Second story. Syl's ex murdered her. And my husband wanted to take his nephews in to save them from foster care. He gave me an ultimatum to divorce, so I took it. Now he's lost both the kids and our marriage. My husband, 32M, and I, 28F, have been married for 2 years and together for 5. Until now, I would have said that we had the perfect relationship, but right now, It seems like that's over, and I'm not sure who the awe is, if anyone. I grew up in a really bad, abusive, and neglectful situation. I've been to therapy and done the work, but there are still some issues that are just going to be permanent. I think the two relevant ones here are that I need to have a calm, safe living space that is mine to function, and I do not do well around children. I don't hate children, but I was forced into raising 7 siblings and step-siblings when I was still a kid myself, and I will never be responsible for another kid for as long as I live. I've had my tubes removed to make absolutely sure there will never be an oops. My husband has known this since the beginning and also does not want children. His family situation is also not great, but he's still involved with them mostly for his mom's and nephew's sake. About a month ago, Sil was murdered by her ex who unalived himself as well. The boys were visiting Mill, so thankfully they weren't in the house when it happened. Otherwise, I think they would be gone too. It's horrific. Mill, the boys, and my husband are devastated. Sil was not my favorite person in the world. She had a lot of the same traits my abusers had, but nobody deserves that, and I'm trying to be supportive of their grief. The problem is that there's nowhere for the boys to go. They were staying with Mill, but her health is so poor that DHR decided that she's not stable enough to have custody. Their father's family doesn't have anything to do with them, which is a long story by itself. My husband has a younger brother, but he has substance use issues and isn't in a good place to take on 2 kids. That leaves my husband and me as the only real family placement option. My husband isn't thrilled about bringing kids into the situation, but he feels like he has to keep them out of foster care, which I understand. Here's the problem. I absolutely do not want these kids living under the same roof as me. It's a PTSD trigger, but also they are understandably not the best behaved kids to start with for their situation. Add some hella trauma onto that and those kids are going to need a lot of help. My husband swears that he will do everything for them, but I think he's being unrealistic. We got into a really nasty argument about it and he said that this is a make or break moment for the marriage because he's not backing down and he'll take the kids and divorce me if he has to. Our house was mine before we got married. I inherited it from my grandmother. I insisted on a prenup to protect it when we got married. My husband has a health issue that makes full-time work difficult and he struggled at the best of times before we got married. If we split up, his chances of finding an affordable place to live nearby in the current market are not good. He's not quite disabled enough to receive disability. Frankly, if I and the house weren't part of the bargain, I'm not sure that DHR would place the kids with him. Where I might be the is that after he threw the door at me, I told him that in that case he would need to move out of my house because he would no longer be welcome. Go back to working full-time because I wouldn't be bankrolling an ex and good luck taking care of 2 traumatized kids with his health, much lower income and without stable housing. I think it hadn't occurred to him just how much he would lose access to because we've always just shared without thinking about it. He's not speaking to me right now. And Mill called and read me the riot act for financial abuse and abandoning family. I feel for the nephews. I really do. But I am not the person those kids need right now. And I feel like I was really clear from the very beginning that I would never be okay taking care of kids or living with them. I think we're cooked either way at this point. But edit. There are a lot of responses and I'm trying to get to them all. I'm taking a PTO day to deal with some of this stuff and get myself back together. As a lot of you have said, there's no way back from this. And I think I'm going to go ahead and accept that now instead of dragging it out. The trust is gone. I made an appointment with a lawyer this morning, and from what I've read, an uncontested divorce could go pretty quickly and smoothly if we don't squabble over money. I don't have any interest in screwing him over, but I also won't be screwed over. I hate it. I wish this wasn't happening, but I've worked way too hard for a stable life to flush it down the toilet. I'm going to freeze my credit and lock down the accounts today in case he or Mill get ideas and have the talk tonight. I'm also about to call the case manager contact at DHR and explain the situation so it's on record and they can start making a plan that doesn't include me as a part of the equation. I'm debating how much help I'm going to continue providing. I will continue to help my husband while he lives here, but I was also doing a lot to help out Mel with things her health makes difficult and to allow her to put her energy towards the kids right now. And I think that's going to stop since it's not appreciated and the relationship is over. As far as the whole looking after family thing, I don't believe in family. Family has done more harm to me than anything else in this world and provided not a single benefit. So I don't put any value on blood or relations. I do what I can when I can for others. But I know in the same circumstance, none of these people would help me either because they can't or they just wouldn't care that much. So just spare me the whole your family stuff, please. That word doesn't hit the same way for me that it does for you. I will update once I've talked to my husband and figured out a path forward. Thanks for the input, even if some of you think I'm a monster. Edit 2. Well, that was a rough night. TLDDR. Now he doesn't want a divorce and wants to figure something out. Of course, the stress of the whole situation is pushing him into a flare, so I'm giving him some grace. But I told him that we won't go back to exactly the way things were before the divorce. Now, no matter what happens, I don't trust him. He needs to sit down with the social worker, look at the facts, and make a call on his own. I have the lawyer's recommendations for an amicable divorce filing. We can discuss if he decides on that route. His mom said some unforgivable things in her little tirade. So, I was doing things to help her stop. Whatever happens, I will make sure he has health insurance until he can make other arrangements. I would be willing to discuss all of this in counseling with him while we try to sort it out. But for now, one of us is moving into the spare room, or he can go stay with his mom. He's upset, but agreed. It's probably going to take some time to get a resolution, but I will try to post again down the road once the situation settles out. Comments. Comment 1. It seems obvious to me that your husband should take the boys and go live with your mill. The two of them will be able to take care of the boys between them. They can supplement each other's incomes and the kids will be safe. He's the one that brought up the D word. In your position, I would immediately speak with the divorce attorney and find out what your rights and responsibilities will be. Depending on where you live, you may have to pay a few years alimony, but perhaps not because he's the one leaving. But it is essential to know your rights. Either way, whether you cave and take the kids in or he moves out or the kids go into CPS custody, this marriage is probably done. Comment 2. NTA. The whole thing sucks and is very sad. You knew your limitations and made them clear to others. You can't be expected to move out of your own house. Could your husband move in with Mill? Would her insurance cover some home care or compensate your husband for her care? Oh, I'm looking into that actually because even if we split up, I don't want him to suffer. The problem is that a lot of welfare and social services have been cut. And he's one of the people that falls into the cracks of not being eligible for a lot of stuff that could help but not physically able to handle a full-time job that would give him decent benefits. I have a social worker friend that I asked to look into what additional benefits they might be able to get and whether it would hurt Mill's benefits if my husband were living with her. It's terrible that people have to make these kinds of choices. Update. People have been asking me for an update and there were some forward developments before Thanksgiving. TLDDR from the last post. My disabled husband's sister was murdered by her kid's father, who then self-d'd, leaving 2 kids with nowhere to go. I have PTSD from severe abuse and neglect that also involved raising my siblings from a young age. So, I am child-free by necessity. There were no other suitable relatives, and my husband was only considered suitable because of me. I said no. He threatened divorce. I took him up on it. He backtracked. Mill lost her mind. Everyone is mad. The bad news is that DHR decided Masso's medical situation rules him out as a primary guardian for the kids. He wouldn't be able to adequately care for them during a flare. The same for his mom. They have the same condition. His is worse than hers, but hers is more advanced. The good news is that the social worker talked the paternal relatives into agreeing to a DNA test. They didn't believe that the kids were really murderous Oz biochildren and he and Sil were keeping the situation on the down low because he was married. So they never established legal paternity. DNA was a match. So the grandparents on that side are taking the kids. What that means as far as visitation for Mayo and Mill is still being hashed out. But the whole thing has been de-escalated a lot thanks to a really competent case manager. As far as the divorce, I'm going ahead with it and filing this week. He's moved back in with his mom. They're salty about it, but that's to be expected. I still love him and wish him the best, but I'm done. His family is too much drama and I don't trust him the way that I did before this. Given that we were only married 2 years and the house is mine from before the marriage and protected, it should be a clean break. While I miss him being here, I'm already feeling less stressed with him gone, and I didn't realize that had been creeping up on me for a while. I think I'm done with romantic relationships, at least for a good long while. So, I'm going to focus on my career and some fun stuff I haven't had time to do since taking on a caretaker role. Thank you to those that offered support and advice. It sucks that any of this happened to begin with, but I think it's ending about as well as it could have at this point. I will be dropping contact with my ex's family, so I doubt I'll have anything else to update. Comments. Comment 1. Good for you. What condition does your ex have? I was guessing a mess. After what his mother said to you, I'd have been flat out done as well. You've shown these people nothing but kindness. And the moment you push back, they show you who they truly are. His family isn't just drama. They're SHT birds. They're always going to be SHT birds. OP. They have MS and myasthenia gravis. He has the childhood onset variant, so his is a lot more debilitating, but his mom's has progressed more. It's managed as well as it can be, but I still wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Comment 2. NTA. The whole thing sucks and is very sad. You knew your limitations and made them clear to others. You can't be expected to move out of your own house. Could your husband move in with Mill? Would her insurance cover some home care or compensate your husband for her care? Oh, this is the only real solution. The husband moves in with Mill and the boys. Her home is safe or they wouldn't have been placed there. Ops home is ops alone. And this marriage was over the minute. He tried to force OP stick to the prenup and start the paperwork. The kids will get survivor's benefits familiar foster to help cover the costs of raising them, and the husband will need to find some kind of appropriate work. But that is his concern, not ops. Now, thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your